Okay, so this is pretty elite, and if you still have Project Cars 2 either installed or in your library, you might want to give this a try for an afternoon. A guy in the P-Cars 2 forum by the name of Gunchy has released what he calls the Pops Racer FFB patch. All this is, it's a simple notepad text document you download and you drop into your Documents Project Cars 2 folder, and then inside Project Cars 2, you set the FFB flavor to custom so it loads that text document. So why should you try this FFB patch? Well, it fixes a lot of what was wrong with Project Cars 2 from a force feedback standpoint. The default FFB in P Cars 2, no matter how much you fuck with the sliders, you can never dial out the feeling that there are marbles rattling around inside your steering wheel. For example, if you put a tire off on the grass or drive over a rough patch of concrete, it feels like there are hundreds of marbles being violently shaken around your wheelbase, which, especially if you're on a lower end wheel like a Logitech G29, feels extremely uncomfortable to drive. The game also struggles to really convey the feeling of a car being loaded up, whether it's under braking or through the center of a corner, the way Automobilista 2 does. And lastly, when you're powering out of a corner and sawing on the wheel to keep the front end pointed relatively straight, the vague force feedback was difficult to figure out what the nose was actually doing and what parts of the car were under load, so it was really common to overdo it and have the car snap left or right on you because you'd accidentally put too much wheel in. This, in my opinion, is what would cause a lot of the P-Cars 2 trademark tank slappers that you don't see in any other racing sim. So what Pops Racer has done that's so different is that the custom FFB is now using the real-time finite element simulation of the SATA tire carcass and the SATA tire tread patch. You can now feel the car chassis being simulated, and you'll also be able to feel the tires load up, the tire treads flexing, and feel the limit of the tires, similar to what you'd find in something like AMS2 or Assetto Corsa. He says you'll also be able to feel the difference between cold tires and warm tires, all this feedback through the wheelbase. My man is not kidding about this. This has completely transformed this game for me. You can load the car up on the edge of the grip limit, whether under braking or through the center of the corner, and you can keep it there because the feeling is so pronounced. It feels very similar to Assetto Corsa or Automobilista 2. The difference is that the SATA tire model is a lot more reactive, so just as easily as you lose the rear end, unlike the kind of sludge driving physics you feel in Assetto Corsa, where the car just kind of hangs out in the four-wheel drift for ages and it takes a while to bring it back, the SATA tire model is a lot more reactive and you can bring it back just as quick as you lost it. The on-center feeling is also a lot more improved. It seems like because now you can feel when the car is under load, you don't overestimate how much wheel input you need at any given time, so your hand movements actually slow down, which is what I've wanted out of this game for the longest time. So on the screen is my FFB config in game. This will vary by wheel, but if you're on a G29, this isn't a bad starting place. And yeah, if you have this game in your collection and you're like, oh man, I love the amount of content P-Cars 2 has, but I just don't like the FFB feeling, give this a shot. This is going to change some stuff. I mean, my third or fourth lap period at Le Mans after having not played this game for a while, I ended up beating the Porsche 962 record just because I could actually feel what the car was doing under braking, and then in corners like Indianapolis where you need to kind of balance the grip limit because it's like one of three corners on the track that take any skill. So there's my endorsement. This shit works.